Hey guys, it's M4J here, and welcome back to the Jeffries Network here on OpenTTD. No building today, unfortunately. We're going to be doing a little bit of an appeal, shall we say. I still need name suggestions. There was a bit of a confusion in the last episode, apparently. I thought I'd made it clear. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. I want to do this. That if you go on the suggestions list under roots, I was looking for roots name suggestions. A couple of people thought I was looking for service name suggestions. I'm not sure where that came from, really. It quite clearly says route names at the top, along with railway route name suggestion. So I'm not sure where that misunderstanding came from, but because of that, we still don't have enough route names. Now, if you go onto the info sheet, link is in the description, you'll see that I've been very busy putting in lots of different route names, all the station lists, and starting to color code using a little script that I found. No one gave me any advice on that. I can understand why it is very difficult to do, so I totally get that. But what that means is we are in a position now where if I can just get some more route name suggestions, we can get it finished. We can get the service plans done, and we can actually start mapping out where our trains are going to go. But in order for that to happen, we do need those suggestions. So do get them in as and when you can. That would be a big help. I would very much appreciate that. Well, that then means we can push on and start getting more trains out on the network. Overall, the map's doing good. I was actually surprised at just how many stations we have along each route. You'll notice that some of the lists are considerably longer than others. For example, the North Valleys line. I mean, I was expecting the North Valleys line to be quite long anyway. I think that is one of... Actually, no, that's not one of the longest. That one's quite short. Which one's the long one? I think it's this one, actually, which is... the Great Northern. Yes. The Great Northern line is the longest so far, I think. Let me just confirm that. Yep, seems to be the case. The Great Northern route is the longest. There's a lot of stations along there, so it makes sense. You'll notice that each one has a colour. Each colour is not necessarily an individual colour, but an individual shade, so as to avoid confusion. So for example, the North Valleys line, it was the dark green, it's now the bright green. The Guard City Northern is a darkish blue. The Capital line is a darkish red. Great Northern is an orange colour. The Great Western has taken up the dark green that the North Valleys line used to have. The Western Reaches is a lilac-y colour. Guard City Great Eastern is a deep red, and the Cross Country West is a deep purple. We need suggestions, guys. We do need lots more suggestions so we can do lots more routes. I've done all of the ones that I've named. So that's the North Valleys line, the Guard City Northern line, Capital line, Great Northern line, Great Western line, Western Reaches line, Guard City Great Eastern line, and the Cross Country line. We do have two suggestions from George De Silva. The Guard City St Mark to Cadenbury Junction direct line. He's called it the Cadenbury Direct Main Line. I like that name. It could well be chosen. In fact, I think it pretty much will be chosen. And then he's also named the Guard City St Mark to Bathurst Street line as the Buntbourne and Southern, as it runs via Buntbourne. Again, I like that. Although I might change it to Buntbourne and Central, as if you look where Buntbourne is... Buntbourne is here, which, as you can see, is relatively central. It's certainly not southern. If you look here, it's not southern. It's about as far away from the southern edge as it is the northern edge. So I think Buntbourne and Central works better, even though it is built south of Guard City. That was a weird zoom thing there. Apologies for that. So yeah, I need the name suggestions, which means we can't get on yet and do what I wanted to do in this particular episode, which is a bit disappointing. It means I've got to do another little appeal, which is what I'm doing now. Hopefully by next Friday, There will be no episode on Monday. I'm sure you know why. But next Friday, hopefully we can actually then push on and start planning out services. So again, if you go in the description down below, there will be a link to the ideas list. If you go on the ideas list and you go right the way along the bottom bar to the railway routes name suggestions, which is second from the end on the right, it will load up. You will see all of the routes. So there's 2 heritage railways. There's a Gronwell to Guard City, which was suggested by David Pasquale, as well as the Denston to Monningpool Falls. They're also service names, actually, Capital Rose and Western Clocker / Sentry. So they might need to be changed as well. But you will see the list of all the routes that I've put on there, along with a couple of suggestions from George De Silva. If you want to put your own suggestion for the 2 routes that have already been done, you're more than welcome to do so. If you just copy and paste the railway route stations, which is the left-hand column, if you copy and paste that below all the rest, and then just put your suggestion next to it, and then of course your YouTube username, I wouldn't mind having a selection to choose from rather than just choosing whichever one has been put on there. It's nice to have a variety. It's nice to have a choice, because sometimes the first choice isn't always the best choice. I'm not saying that they're bad suggestions. I do like them. I think they're very good suggestions, but you could never quite know what's around the corner is what I'm saying. But yeah, if you go ahead and do all that, then that would be great. I am not putting service or train name suggestions on here. I've explained it in the comments of the last video, but the reason I'm not doing that is because I'm leaving that open to Patreon or Patreon supporters. So if you support me on Patreon, you are allowed to name a franchise or a route. Not route, sorry. You're allowed to name a franchise, a service, or a region of the map. Even though I am taking region suggestions, you will also be allowed to name an entire region if you support me on Patreon. There's no pressure though. You don't have to support me on Patreon. You can still go use the other idea suggestions, and of course you can name routes without being a supporter on Patreon. It's just something so that it's an incentive to get people to support me, but it's also a way of rewarding people that support me, because there are a couple of people that do support me on Patreon that don't really have anything back from me. So it's my way of opening the floor up to them. That's pretty much it for this episode. As I say, I wanted to do some train services and stuff, so I'm really disappointed that I've not been able to do that. It really is my shout out now, guys. You have there's a very good chance that there won't be an episode on Friday, depending on how well I get going next week, because I've got uni work to do as well as obviously enjoying Christmas. So this is my call out to you guys. If you want to leave a suggestion, you have 7 days, a week. Saturday after tomorrow, I will be going through the suggestions to record the next Monday's episode. So if you want your suggestions to be considered, you have to get them in by next Friday. You have 1 week, guys. Do not let me down. Otherwise, I will have to seriously consider taking down that suggestion page, because it's been up for a long time now. 6 months I think it's been up for, and it's been very underutilized recently, and with this whole misunderstanding between routes and services as well, there's been a couple of suggestions I've noticed that have actually been withdrawn. So I am going to close the tab now, and I am not going to look at it again until next Friday. So you have 1 week to get all of your suggestions in. I'm going to go ahead and color code the rest of the routes. I'm not going to give them their names yet. I'm just going to put the terminus stations as its current route name. So if you want to check out the information sheet as well, you will see some on there as just station names. Don't panic, I haven't gone behind your back and named the routes. It's just so that I can finish off this color coding so that we can at least get something done next week. But please guys, do go check out that suggestions list and put some name ideas on there. It doesn't have to be absolutely brilliant. As I say, I'm always willing to negotiate with people, so I could say, well, actually I like this bit of this name and I like this bit of this name, would you mind if I combine them together? It doesn't mean I'm saying the suggestion is bad. I'm looking for a way to actually put it into the network, because I do like every suggestion that everyone leaves, so it's only fair that I try and make them all fit somehow. But that is it for this episode, guys. As I say, I will be checking it in 1 week's time, and we'll see whether or not there's any future with the naming suggestions. But until then, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and of course if you enjoyed the series, drop some comments down below with ideas for future episodes. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button. If you have already subscribed to the channel, thank you guys for your continued support, and until next time, I will see you soon.